The views and content expressed on the following program are provided solely for informational and entertainment purposes. They do not constitute legal advice. A podcast is not a substitute for retaining a competent, licensed attorney to advise you on your specific legal situation.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the show. It is time for Break the Business, where we empower indie creators and have some fun along the way. I'm Ryan Kairalla, and it is a pleasure to have you here this week. Thank you so much for being here for episode 297. My God, I had to check that just to double check. We've done so many of these, and I've enjoyed so many of them, particularly because I often get to share the show with someone I truly enjoy talking to, and that is my co-host this week, Elisa. How's it going, Elisa?
And since we couldn't find somebody that I enjoyed spending time with, we got Elisa on the show. Hello, everybody.
I should have went with that. Yeah. let me roll it back 15 and take it again. How are you? I miss you terribly. It is so good to see you.
Miss you too. Good to be back, Rye. It's been busy in a good way and also not busy in the bad ways. So, a little bit of both.
I know. And something about busy during this Pan's Labyrinth that we're in right now that just it's weird in good ways, it's weird in bad ways, because like when you're busy and you're working in entertainment and so everything you do is at home and you're just like, doing stuff on your live stream and just in front of your cameras in your room, like it's convenient because you don't have to schlep anywhere, there's no commute involved, but like it's also isolating. And, I kind of want to hug people because I'm a hugger, and it's tough. It's tough. And I imagine same way for you.
Yeah. Like I was literally telling Evan the other day, like, can we like go to a farmer's market and like, or like an arboretum or just something outside? I need some sort of outside stimuli. I haven't been doing that really cool thing where you're supposed to like take walks and, get sunlight. My photosynthesis game is not great.
With you on that. And it doesn't help that for me, I've just been really like throwing myself into the podcast with the live streaming and the Sirius XM and everything. Like I'm putting more stuff into it. And like, for me, I'm ever more stressed out now because we are inching closer and closer to episode 300.
What?
I know. It's October like 13th, I think, is going to be our 300. And I feel this like podcaster's obligation that I have to do something, celebratory and yes, exactly. Something kazoo worthy for episode 300. But like to let the audience peek behind the curtain here, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I'm getting more and more filled with anxiety because I feel like it has to be something big. But at the same time, I'm also pandemic stressed. And I don't want to like, have like I think about like that telethon that we did with Break the Business last year, that 8-hour telethon, which was really great. We raised money for Sweet Relief. It was fantastic. I got to hang out with a bunch of people. It was cool. And it was a fun live stream, but it was also so exhausting. And so I want to do something to celebrate episode 300, but I can't do that again. But I don't want to disappoint the audience, so I don't know what to do.
Bail on them? Make it a clip show. Ta-da!
Just a clip show to mark this tricentennial.
A bloopers.
Best of bloopers.
just you
could definitely film like episode 300, 400, and 500 with bloopers from this particular show. But like, I mean, do you any suggestions? Like bring in special guests or games? I have no idea.
I mean, I think bringing in some folks from podcast past would be a good idea. My cat is walking on the mixer, so apologies if you can't hear me anymore.
Oh, congratulations on the new cat, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Her name is Ruby. Named after Ruby Rhod, of course, the best character in The Fifth Element.
No argument here.
I think you bring back folks from.
Just walked across the camera.
I'm just holding cattail right now.
It's just a cattail. I'm waiting for the.
Shot.
I'm waiting for the point on the show, Elisa, where you're making some really profound, amazing sociological point, and there's just gonna be a big old cat tail in your face.
It's just cat butthole, just 24/7. It's great. But for episode 300, I think folks, I mean, maybe do like a Break the Business reacts to episode 1. I don't know.
Oh God. Oh God. Okay. So you never heard the story about when Atari made that E.T. game in the 80s, and it was so bad that they took all the remaining copies of it and buried it in like a nuclear bunker that you couldn't get to with like the most powerful drill in the world because anybody to gaze upon that video game again? Somewhere at the bottom of that pile and another 20 feet down, protected by mole people, is episode 1 of this program because of how horrible it was. Good God.
You could always do like, you know, like a remaster, a remake. Just do it over.
Take it right from the beginning. I like it. All right, that I could be down with that. So, lest people think that the product we do now is substandard, you should all check out episode 1. Maybe we'll bring that back for episode 300. I do dig that idea. Elisa, while I have you here, I feel like the topic I want to talk about. Oh, I should mention before I get into our topic this week that I do want to talk to you about, I should mention the fantastic guest we have coming up after the commercial break. So excited to talk to Justin Longo. He's the CEO of Marination Music. It's a invest nothing but dreams in front of him, a pocket full of dreams, and anybody who's in the business of creating real financial solutions for musicians so they're not dependent on big content companies like a certain company we're going to be talking about right now, Twitch. Those people are always loved here on Break the Business. So excited to talk to him. All right, Elisa, you're the person I want to talk to right now with the story that's going on, because you, as many people know who check out this program, because we got a lot of overlapping fans here, you are a delightful Twitch streamer.
Oh, I don't know about
you and your husband play awesome music, great covers. You got a nice little following going. And Twitch is your home. You're a Twitch affiliate. You got that whole world. And so you must have been a little, what's the word I'm looking for? Underwhelmed, perhaps, by the announcement that Twitch made about this licensing agreement that they made with the music publishers that isn't actually a licensing agreement at all.
So the first thing that I saw was a tweet, you know, because I follow a couple of different gaming news sites, and there's like, oh, you know, reportedly Twitch has struck a deal with, you know, all these major publishing companies, and I was like, you're kidding. They finally did it. Oh my goodness. They did a thing. They did a thing. It's fantastic. But then I get the email, and I got an email like yesterday that so at the moment I am a music streamer. I also stream the video game Rocksmith. In both those instances, I am performing essentially covers. I perform acoustic covers, and then with Rocksmith, you are hearing the licensed music in the game as part of learning how to play bass and guitar and all that jazz. Because of that, it is not necessarily an approved, technically, Ryan, you can tell me, an approved use of this music per se. So when I'm done streaming, I have to be compliant with all of the lovely DMCA stuff attached to Twitch, I have to delete my VODs and find another place to stick them, which is great, because then I literally get to have the experience of talking to somebody yesterday about the streams that I have, and like as part of like selling them on me basically, and trying to tell people like, hey, this is what I do, this is a product I deliver. If you go to my channel right now, the only thing up there is my dissertation defense, because I can't keep evidence of what I do
up there. Wow.
I can't keep evidence of what I actually do. So I'm like, well, you know, symbolically I'll leave my dissertation defense up there because that's kind of cool, you know. But like what this email gave me, instead of providing a way for like, oh, maybe there is a certain, you know, maybe I can't play like Universal Music Group tunes or something, or like, you know, maybe there's an approved list, or I don't know what. Instead of giving me that, they're saying, no, we just made it easier or maybe even harder for publishers to actually go through with a report. It sounds like a little bit more of a manual review. None of this actually affects what I have to do to my content.
Right.
Everything's the same.
It didn't make anything easier or better for you. So yeah, I saw this the same way. On this podcast forever, we've done multiple shows about how Twitch needs to make their environment better for streamers like you, the ones who are covering music, playing video games with music on them. Because right now you're in a situation where, as you noted, Elisa, you have to delete your videos before they become videos on demand because you can get copyright strikes on your channel and you can get your channels deleted. And so, as you noted, and that's actually funny, I never thought of this, like, you are a pretty active streamer, but if I go to your Twitch page, well, maybe you just... The point is, when I go to your Twitch page, it looks like you've never streamed. When I know that's not true, but you have to delete everything because of the kind of work that you do. And this is hurting indie creators. And it doesn't have to, because as we've mentioned on the show, if anybody is in a position to strike a deal with the music publishing companies to allow people to cover songs and not have to look over their shoulder and be worried about a copyright infringement suit or having their account deleted, it's Twitch. They're owned by Amazon. They are multiple times bigger than the entirety of the music publishing industry. If they wanted to strike a deal with the music publishers, they could, probably with great ease. So when it was leaked on September 17th that Twitch was, quote, close to signing a music licensing agreement, that was from the Billboard article, I went, finally, thank God. And then on the 22nd, when I do this podcast with my friend Elisa, we're going to have a celebratory show talking about how much Twitch kicks ass because they finally struck this deal. And now Elisa can leave her VODs up and show all the great work that she's doing and help promote her career. And now creators don't have to live in fear anymore. And then September 21st, the article comes out and it's reported that there is no licensing deal. Instead, they called it a productive partnership where maybe publishing organizations can opt in to collaborations on the platform. They don't say what the opt-in is going to look like or what they're opting in for. It doesn't change any of the music licensing rules. And for musicians, it's just more of the same. And you're still looking over your shoulder and you shouldn't have to.
Yeah. And it's doubly messed up the more successful you are, because as an affiliate, I have an exclusivity agreement where I can't stream simulcast anywhere else, right? An easy thing for me to do would be to be able to stream across a bunch of platforms, like say YouTube. YouTube would just keep my show VOD, and then that'll be fine. But I can't do that because then I would be in violation of my agreement, and then people can't pay me money to be silly on camera. And I have a 24-hour hold on that content, so I have to wait 24 hours before I upload the show to YouTube, which in a sort of super fast kind of social media thing, like I need to be making clips and putting that stuff out and sharing it with people earlier than that, like the next morning, not 24 hours after the fact. I'm losing momentum by virtue of this. And Twitch is a really big pond for musicians to hang out in, especially for us who are hybrid musicians and gamers, right? So like I'm in a position where I'm streaming music, streaming Rocksmith, but I also, maybe I want to hang out with people and like play Animal Crossing or whatever, right? And like Twitch as a platform is kind of like the biggest fish there is. YouTube gaming is kind of starting to catch up, and they've actually kind of acquired a couple of big fish recently to kind of be a little bit more of a competitor. But I remember an era where it felt like Twitch was more than just video games in a way that felt that other creators could actually see visibility under like the creative category. So like even folks like painters and other kinds of artists on the platform, like all of this stuff is just kind of squashing, I think, a lot of the different ways that you could use this amazing platform. And it sucks because it's so cool.
It's is so really cool. And I really can't emphasize enough how much the current state of the world doesn't have to be this way. Like when I say that Twitch is the big fish in a negotiation between Amazon, Twitch and the licensing companies, like people think that like maybe he's saying that Twitch is a slightly bigger fish. But I mean, you need to understand like what we're talking about when we talk about Amazon's size. So let me put it in perspective for you, okay? In terms of how much leverage Amazon and Twitch would have to get a licensing deal done. The total global revenue for the music publishing industry in 2020 was $4.1 billion. Decent year. And you know what? Just for the sake of argument, let's also add the entire revenue for the global recorded music industry. So we're going to add all the labels, all the publishing companies, all the money they made in 2020, and we're going to put it all into one big pile. That totals to about $27.2 billion. Massive. And so compare that to Amazon's total revenue in 2020 of $386 billion. So you are talking about a company that is bigger than the entire music universe by a multiple of what, 10 or 15? And so like they should be able to buy the entire music industry if they can't make a deal with them.
You could just roll up one of those Bezos rockets and probably buy the Eagles catalog. Like, honestly.
Like, and I think people don't understand like how big Amazon is and how small the music industry is. This isn't like the way it was in the 90s where the music business was bigger than the movie business and bigger than video games and bigger than TV. Like, music's kind of a small fish now post Napster in like the early 2000s. It's not, I mean, 28 billion is still a lot of money, but in the grand scheme of like what Amazon does,
yeah,
like, it's nothing. It's what Jeff Bezos has in between the couch cushions.
Yeah.
So this deal could get done. I don't know. And the holdup is that Twitch doesn't have a lot to lose here, right? Because they're going to exist no matter what, and people are going to be on their platform no matter what. So the only people who are getting screwed in the current state of affairs are the creators. But again, that's not really a big deal for Twitch because their creators are going to be there anyway. So they don't seem to have a particularly strong incentive to, you know, and Twitch has the DMCA protection, so they don't care about copyright infringement necessarily because they can immunize themselves from liability. And so they don't have an incentive. And so even though they absolutely have the resources to get this done, there's no sense of urgency.
It's frustrating because, you know, then I'll see someone like Matt Heafy from Trivium, who is one of these examples of a great hybrid musician streamer. I get to follow him as he's going on tour right now, and he's doing his warm-ups from his hotel room and streaming the show from the wings. And I gotta think, like, would they even be allowed to? Are they technically allowed to be streaming their own live performances? Like,
imagine getting a DMCA notice for your own music, or a content ID strike on your own music. I'm sure
it's happened on my YouTube channel before.
Oh, no. And so, what do you do? Do you have to just like email YouTube, be like, "Don't worry, I know the owner; they're cool with it."
I'm like, I'm like, it'll probably get, like, you know, my 1 cent will get back to me anyway eventually, so whatever.
Well, I hope that this kind of, like, I know that all creators right now on Twitch are probably feeling the same way you do. They saw through that email that all the Twitch users got on Tuesday. They saw through it right away. They realized, oh, this doesn't actually positively affect us one bit. Hopefully it galvanizes this population and continues to like tell Twitch, like, you got to fix this, and we know you can, so that we can create on your platform safely and be in a position to thrive. At least that's my hope.
Fingers crossed.
2 other matters, Elisa. I feel like we did you so wrong because last week was the week that we talked about Rolling Stone releasing its list of the top 500 songs of all time, and we didn't immediately call you in from whatever you were doing to allow you the opportunity to weigh in on it. We should have had like some kind of Elisa bat signal that appeared in the sky. We were like, I got to get on StreamYard right now because I'm sure you have thoughts and feelings and opinions. Have you seen this list, Rolling Stone top 500 songs?
So I am not a graduate student any longer. And I do not have the energy or the spoons to go through all 500 of these. And I'm sure, hey, any, grad student out there that wants to do a nice little content analysis, I would actually love, to see kind of the different sort of genre breakdowns as well as, gender breakdowns on these artists. But that's another show. The top, as soon as I started scrolling to the top 50, and number 50 was Daddy Yankee.
I saw
was
that.
like,
Gasolina, number 50.
I was like, wow. I'm like, man, I'm Puerto Rican and we love to claim our own, but I was like, man, that's a lie.
You're being lied to right now.
That's a little high. Like we are a proud people, but I'm like, damn. But I like what is interesting to me is it's either I've lost my teeth, or maybe the sandpaper of time has has softened my edges a little bit and has made me enjoy a little bit more nuance. I love the variety that is shown on this list, and I loved seeing how many iconic hip hop songs in particular and iconic R&B songs made their way to the top 100 and top 50 in a situation where I feel like, depending on who you ask to make this list, they would be nowhere in the 500, much less the top 100. I haven't had a chance to like dig through exactly who they asked, but one of the things that they noted in the article is that by tapping out to a diverse set of artists across generations, you get a list that looks like this. And also, kind of donning my sociology cap here, I am anti-canon. Canon is dead. Like we do not need to keep worshiping at the altar of, I'm just gonna throw some names out, Led Zeppelin or Elvis. Like we don't need to keep worshiping at the altar of these people just because we've been doing it for decades. Like, we're allowed to look at our contemporaries and look at our recent contemporaries, place them in a cultural and political context, and actually be able to zoom out and see how much these songs have affected people without needing to address these in a Hall of Fame ceremony 50 years later. We can acknowledge that like Outkast and Missy Elliott are absolute pioneer artists and deserve to have their productions represented. But anyway, that's just me. That's where I'm coming from on this particular scenario, but I don't know what you think.
Your views really track with a lot of my feelings on it. Like, look, can we quibble with some of the things on the list? Sure. Like,
absolutely.
We're not, everybody's not going to be copacetic with all 500 entries, but overall, I was pleased that I felt like this list, particularly relative to the last time that Rolling Stone did this list, which was like about 20 years ago, is a much more demographically diverse list. It's a much more genre diverse list. You got, Hey Ya by Outkast at number 10, Get Your Freak On by Missy Elliott at number 8, Aretha Franklin, Respect, number 1. I'm fine with that. And, I love that it's diverse. I love that you have newer artists on that list, like Royals by Lorde is at number 30. Like, some people love her. Some people like me absolutely adore her. Other people just, oh, no, she's too young, whatever. But so overall, I love what they're trying to do with this list. But somebody who doesn't love what they're trying to do with this list is a music person, a music pundit from our childhood, Elisa. One Carson Daly had some thoughts on this list. He was, suffice it to say, not pleased about the changes to this top 500 list. Lauren, do you have the clip of him ranting about this, courtesy of Rolling Stone's TikTok?
No Led Zeppelin, no Elvis, no Clue in the top 100. No. All right, let's get into the big list that everybody's talking about this morning. Rolling Stone magazine, for the first time in 17 years, has released their definitive list of the 500 greatest songs of all time. Let's take a look at some of the top picks. I love Outkast. Hey Ya is a great song. It ended up at number 10 of all time. It is not the 10th greatest song of all time. No. Certainly not when Imagine by John Lennon is sitting there at 19. Wow. Right? I mean, also Lorde, the radio hit from 10 years ago, Royals. That's fine song. It's a fine song. It came
What
in
is
at number
it?
30.
No.
Stairway to Heaven.
Look.
November Rain.
No, come on.
Hotel California. Nowhere in the top
And that
50.
Royal song made it?
I love Get Your Freak On, like the next guy. But is it better than, you know,
Stairway to Heaven?
where's like a Sinatra song?
Where's Get Your Freak on the list?
Top 10.
No, it's not.
Yes, sir. I'm fired up. I
You were
can't
here
breathe.
to do pop star today. Nobody could have dropped
nobody.
knowledge.
I forgot to meditate this morning. I didn't do my calm app, so I'm really hyped up right now. No Led Zeppelin, no
Okay.
Elvis, no
Thanks,
Clue.
Mark.
In the top
I mean, first of all, I have many thoughts on this video. First of all, I want more than anything to have whoever those people that were with Carson Daly, I don't know who they were, but they are the best hype men. Like, I just want to go through life saying things and just having those two people be like, exactly, yes.
Yes. Thank you.
I mean,
I know, right? Unconscionable.
so he doesn't like the new additions to the list, and he's mad that where's John Lennon, where's Frank Sinatra, where's Elvis. Yeah, I'm noticing a common theme with some of the artists that he's looking for.
I'm like I mentioned, like the canon is the canon for a very specific reason. It is uplifted by people in academia. The demographics of academia are not exactly friendly to, say, diversifying said canon. So we end up seeing a lot of the same names being put on the same pedestals decade after decade, when I think we can afford to get our sea legs and get our subway legs and be nimble and enjoy the fact that time passes, and that we can open ourselves up to the idea that people that are our contemporaries and younger make good music with significant sociocultural and political impact, and can influence and create entire genres after the 80s.
And I think that's part of what's happening here with Carson Daly. It's actually a similar theme to what we talked about a few weeks ago on the podcast with this Olivia Rodrigo Misery Business Paramore thing,
yes.
where I had hypothesized that one of the reasons why a whole lot of Paramore fans were like, Good for You by Olivia Rodrigo sounds so much like Misery Business, is because it is that generation, our generation, trying to stay relevant. We want a song so badly to sound like something that we loved in our childhood, and we are grasping at it. And so we are angry at Olivia Rodrigo for the same reason that Carson Daly's angry about this list. It ain't his world anymore. Nobody's tuning in to watch him talk on TRL. It's a younger person's game now, music. And I think he's having trouble accepting that, and so he's getting angry on Rolling Stone's TikTok account.
And I don't know if it's the Capri Sun is finally hitting, but like the minute that I decided, and well, once you have a knowledge of history and you can get a bird's eye view of how things have happened even since the dawn of time. You think of Shakespeare now as this amazing canonical English author. He's basically the Tarantino of his day. He's like shocking people with all sorts of... Read Titus Andronicus and tell me that's not a Tarantino flick, right? But this sort of base pop culture thing is now elevated to the point of high art, to the point where we're gagging over Denzel and Frances McDormand doing the Scottish play, which, yes, sign me up. But once you realize and you make those connections that pop culture eventually becomes this canonical thing, every note that has ever existed in music has already been played and combined in all sorts of different ways. And when you realize that the way that the medium of music pushes itself is often through breaking and distorting the limitations of its equipment, like guitar distortion, or what we're seeing now with like the kind of blown out speaker sounds in hyperpop, kind of pushing the boundaries of volume and making things sound blown out. Once you make those connections and you can zoom out, you don't have to feel old because you can get everything that you hear regardless of its release date. And once you can understand that and you can make connections like, oh, this sounds like this, instead of saying, oh, this sounds like this, I can't believe they copied it, blah, 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 blah. Oh, this sounds like this. I get it, so I can enjoy it. And then I can make connections with people across generations and we can enjoy stuff. And on the other hand, like, it's okay for stuff to not be for you anymore and acknowledge that, but also be able to enjoy it because you can acknowledge the connections that this kind of music is made across generations. So like, there's like, don't be mad at Good For You and Misery Business sounding the same. Medley it at your next gig and make the bar fall over and
Make multiple
absolutely
generations
crush
at the
it.
bar happy.
This is what I'm saying. So like, make those connections and don't be like ownership, copyright, blah. Just be like, embrace the fact that we can connect through these similarities in the music that we enjoy and just vibe, y'all. Like, I'm tired.
That was a fantastic point, Elisa. And I can't tell you how mad I am that at no point during that soliloquy, your cat did not walk across the camera. Because that would have been the time to do it. What
No,
the hell, Ruby?
She is finally being very good and settling in and is passed out on her perch off camera, unfortunately,
Well,
for
maybe
the viewing
she-
audience.
Maybe she'll ruin the Justin Longo interview that's coming up
There you
after
go.
the break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back here on Break the Business.
Ryan Kairalla here. I hope you're enjoying the show, and I hope that you're getting a lot out of it. I do what I do because I care about creators like you. A lot. I've dedicated my career to helping creative professionals, entrepreneurs, and organizations move forward. I do it by hosting this program, and I'm also proud to do it in my legal practice. If you're a creative professional looking for solutions-oriented legal services to help you further your goals, I'd love to help. My firm RKPA does contracts, commercial law, copyright, trademark, and more. Visit rkpalaw.com to learn more. That's rkpalaw.com. Ryan A. Kairalla, PA, Miami, Florida.
Streaming services for Break the Business provided by LEK Entertainment. LEK Entertainment is a full-service entertainment company offering everything from consultations to full-scale events and productions, including audio and video productions, voiceovers, staged theatrical productions, script and music development, and streaming services. For more information, visit lekentertainment.com. LEK Entertainment wants to help you bring your story to life.
Thanks for supporting Break the Business. If you have a question or topic that you want us to discuss, email us at breakthebusiness@gmail.com. You can follow the host, that's me, on Twitter at Ryan Kair, and you can follow the show at the BTB Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the show on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook, and on all major podcast platforms. And now, let's get back to the show.
Welcome back, you gorgeous people. This is Break the Business on SiriusXM Channel 145 on all major podcast platforms, Twitch, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Periscope. Does Periscope still exist? I don't know, but I think we're on it. Ryan Kairalla here, back with Elisa Rockdock. How are you? How was the break? Did you love that same cheesy commercial we do every single show?
That's
me.
The that's me gets me every time because you're just so stoked to help people, and it makes me happy.
That's really
I
what for 300 episodes. That's what this is all about: is helping indie creators. And we love anybody who is also joining us in that fight, which I believe includes our guest right now. So let's go ahead and bring him on. He is the founder of Marination Music Investment Company. Marination provides a mobile-based solution to help music creators share their music and profit from financial investing. You can find out more by visiting www.marinationmusic.com. We are happy to welcome Justin Longo on a Break the Business. Hello, Justin.
Hey guys, how's it going?
It is going great. So good to hear from you. Love talking to the founders. Before we talk about your platform, I saw you in the green room listening to the show, giggling along the way. Do you have any thoughts, on the Rolling Stone Top 500 list? Do you have a number one song of all time that you think the Rolling Stone list missed out on?
Oh man, I was chomping at the bit to get in on that one. But yeah, I can see both sides though. I can see the new generation as well as, the older generation's point of view. I kind of agree a little bit. I do like some Frank Sinatra, but I also do appreciate, some of the newer generational music, obviously, because I'm a millennial myself. So
Yeah, well, that was a very diplomatic answer, which we would always expect from from a founder, right? Like that's Justin thinking, like, there's gonna be some old crusty VC guy who might really like Sinatra, and if I just completely bash the old music, I'm not gonna get that guy's money. I understand. Say no more, Justin. That was very well handled.
yeah, the venture capitalists, they won't like any of that if they're gonna invest in our business here.
Well, let's talk about what we want those VCs to invest in. Can you tell us a little bit about how Marination Music works? I see it's a platform where musicians can have fans invest in their music, but the platform also seems to help musicians make investments of their own. It's sort of a almost a cradle to grave investment platform for creators.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. So the main focus is to help music creators with their finances. The investing the fans piece is kind of secondary to that, but our main focus to help music creators, create financial stability in their lives so that they can continue to, give us those top Rolling Stones lists that we're going to be hearing for many moons to come. But that's mainly our focus is to, help people with their music and their careers and, grow that financial stability so that they can end up focusing on what's important to them, and which is, in this case, music.
Well, first of all, am I saying the name of the platform right? Because I'm really nervous. Is it Marination? Is it something else?
Yeah, no, Ryan, you're actually one of the people who gets it right the first time.
Oh,
so
thank God.
Some people say Mari Nation, other people don't really know how to make it, but it's Marination.
So what's the backstory on that name? What is, because I think of Marination as something I did to the steak that I had just before I came on the show, and it made it delicious. Are we trying to like make music investing delicious, or what's happening?
Yeah, I mean, I could tell you, I'll give you the actual story, but I like to have people, come up with it on their own. I've heard some people say marination, like when you listen to a song and let it marinate, and over time it kind of, progresses in your own mind. But in actuality, it was just some random name that one of my college friends had, and I kind of took it from him. So.
Look, you're gonna need a better answer for the VC people, all right? Like they want to hear some like they want to hear like
by a former colleague.
It came to me in a dream, something like it was like I saw it streak across the sky, but some work on it. We'll workshop it together. We'll take some time. We'll really get this perfect because it's a good name. It makes me hungry, so I'm all for that. Let me ask you the question that I ask all the founders that come on the show with some cool platform. What problem is your platform trying to solve? What about the current ways? Sorry, what was that?
No, I was like, tell me how I'm going to tenderize my wallet.
That's right.
3 year service.
I like that.
What is it about the current ways that indie creators are making money that to you isn't working?
Yeah, the reason for the whole platform is because I was a music producer myself, and at the beginning of the career, you can see how you're putting in all these hours to make music and learn production, learn all these things, networking. There's so many different variables within a career, and at the beginning stages, the money's not very we'll say substantial. But the reason was to create a way that people can express themselves creatively and be able to, see some financial return in that like sort of process. So that was mainly the background of why we came up with it.
And I've seen a few platforms that have come out where, artists can have fans sort of invest in their music, providing like funding for it, and then they get a piece of the royalties that come in. I've seen different versions of that floating around. What I haven't seen is the other dimension that you also add, where we're going to help artists invest the money that they have into companies and things like that. Was that something that sort of came to you as like, I see this as an important value add for platforms like these?
Yeah, obviously we did explore that option. That's extremely that was at the focal point originally, right? We want to have fans be able to invest in the music, and then from there they profit along with the artists. So that was definitely a direction that we explored. Obviously, there's new things like cryptocurrency and blockchain. A lot of platforms are kind of intertwining that. But though from a business like model standpoint, we saw that, you know, the streaming platforms, they don't really pay out a whole lot. Like 0.0034 is what Spotify does, I think, currently. So what
Cha-ching.
we wanted to do what we wanted to do was try and find, you know, what's already working. Like you said earlier, Amazon, I don't know, they grossed what, 300 plus $1 billion last year. So if like we can give artists a way to leverage like these big reputable companies who are basically, you know, economies in themselves, and have that leverage be for their music career, that's exactly what we were trying to accomplish.
So you contemplate different revenue streams coming in through this platform. How does that work? That's an interesting component, because when I've seen these platforms, it's always just streaming income, right? Because that's easy to quantify. That's easy to figure out how that comes in through a distribution service like a CD Baby. So it's easy to calculate and it's easy to set up a platform around that. But it sounds like you have a grander ambition in mind, different revenue streams and all the other ways that artists make money, and allowing fans to invest in that. And I know that that's like, to answer this question might require like a 3-hour presentation, but I need you to do it in 30 seconds. How does that work?
That was quite the setup. So all right, 30 seconds. You're familiar with Acorns, right?
Yeah.
So it's basically Acorns meets Spotify. We'll just cap it at that.
Okay. That was literally going to be my question. Is it sort of, it almost looked like a sort of, or maybe like a Patreon sort of type thing, but also with Acorns involved, like a little one-stop shop for your money as an artist. It's interesting.
Yeah, the Patreon, I believe that's a great platform. You know, some of our artists use Patreon and they've had great success with that. What we've mainly seen with Patreon is mainly the giving of the information, more or less like teaching lessons from that standpoint, with our own situations with our creators, obviously. But there's different ways to, you know, use that platform. But that's also something that we did take a look at, is trying to, you know, integrate video on the platform and have, you know, fans be able to donate some certain, you know, donations or whatever it may be. I think BandLab gives some like, I don't know what they call it, like buy somebody a cup of coffee, or like a tip jar. I think they call it tip jar or something like that. So, you know, there's also different ways to do this, but you know, what we've seen so far has been successful for us. So we're going to keep going.
So just to clarify, can you give me an example of a way that a music fan interacts with the platform to either invest in an artist, or to give money to that artist, or to get a return on that investment? Can you give me sort of just like a hypothetical of how that might look in practice?
So the way it's laid out is we have a main homepage that's discovering new talent, new artists. And then from there, you can go into the artist's catalog of music, and then you can browse, you know, and see their backstory and that sort of thing, and get to know them on a personal level as well. So from there, if you support their music, you know, whatever it may be, your relationship, if you like the music, if it's your neighbor or if it's your buddy or something like that, you can then invest money into that, and that money is then put into their financial investment account. So that money is then put into, you know, reputable companies like we were talking about earlier, if that makes sense. I don't know if that was a complex answer.
How much control as an artist would I have over the
There's the cat. The cat just
There's the cat.
Finally!
Cat showed up.
That's the payoff we've been looking for. Well done, Ruby.
Ruby would like to know how much control she would have over her own portfolio and sort of percentages and where everything goes.
Yeah, so in relation to like royalties, artists have 100% control of their royalties. We don't take any portion of that. The way we monetize it is we that money goes into, you know, financial investing, and then from there we take a percentage of that, which is, you know, 10-15% of the overall profit, and then from there the artist has complete control over basically everything, and you know, who can invest in their music and that sort of thing.
Justin, I know you're really passionate about encouraging financial literacy in artists, and that's something that, certainly I want to spread the gospel of as well. I think that just, our generation in general and the younger generation before us, like nobody taught us this stuff. And it's much to our peril, right? Because the best time to get into investing and to get financially literate is while you're young and you have time for that beautiful compounding interest to happen.
1995.
That's right.
That would have been a good time.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, absolutely. So do you have any advice for the indie creators on what they can do to get more financially literate? Are there platforms? Are there YouTube channels or TikTok accounts that you highly recommend to learn a lot fast?
Learn a
Maybe
lot
a
fast. Yeah, that's kind of that's a great point. Yeah, learning is extremely important. Knowledge is everything. So obviously books, right? A couple books that I think everybody should read if you're talking financial literacy is Richest Man in Babylon. There's a bunch of other things if you want to get in depth, but what people should really focus on is learning the very important things. And that means I'm not talking analytics and everything like that, but just learn about, cash flow, learn about assets, liabilities, learn about just very basic things so that you have an understanding. It's like an artist in a music career, right? I believe that every artist should know all aspects of their career so that when they go into a meeting or into a partnership with somebody, that they aren't going in blind and that they can understand, both sides of the scenario and then come to, a good decision for themselves and their career moving forward.
Oh, I'm with you on that. That's so important. It reminds me of a few months ago on the podcast, we had Zach O'Malley Greenberg on the show. He was the author of a book called can't remember the name of it, but it's about this recent trend of musicians getting into the founders game, realizing that they bring enough value to the table that when they do a deal with a potential sponsor, that they don't need to come in as just, I'm going to get a sponsorship fee. They want a piece of the company. Artists, are realizing their value and saying, I want to be a co-founder, and, I won't take money up front, but I want to participate in the upside, and realizing that their name, their brand, their cachet is enough to be worse. That basically is their capital contribution and is enough value that, like, they're not just making, pay their rent money. They're making, I can retire early money, which is, often something that artists have trouble finding because in those early stages, they don't think of themselves as having the value that a co-founder would have when they absolutely do. And we're seeing this emerging trend now of creators becoming co-founders in new music tech platforms, and I love it.
Yeah, do you believe music creators are entrepreneurs? Like they're they're very in control of their own careers if they take control of their careers. Yeah, because you can obviously go into different routes and everything, but I'm completely in agree with you, Ryan. Everybody should be able to have that wherewithal in their career, and because it's funny because you can sign a record label or do a deal, whatever, now when you're early in your career, and then at the end, there may need to be some negotiations and everything like that. But if you understand at the early stages of your career that you're an entrepreneur and you're a business yourself, and obviously the music comes first, you should be perfecting your craft at all costs and just working very diligently on that. But have the understanding that you're a business, and the way you're going to monetize is around this career, whether it's merchandise, whether it's these great platforms like Twitch or Patreon, and to have that knowledge and wherewithal to take that as you grow, as you expand the years to come, and then like you're saying, you can retire on some of this great income that they have.
I got to know your origin story at this point. I really am impressed by this platform coming together, by you having the foresight to sort of see this as a potential need and wanting to develop this. What inspired you to start this company? I know you have a background. You mentioned you were a producer, and I know you also have a background in investment banking. So obviously a platform like this, which seems to marry your two passions, is the perfect fit.
Yeah, that's a great. That's exactly it. Marinate those two passions. So, the, but it's very interesting. That's a great question. So the way I got into music originally was through sports. I come from a very big sports background. I'm from Boston, Massachusetts, which has a lot of big, athletic teams and everything, championships and all that.
And we're both originally from Miami, so just so you know, we hate every single one of them.
Go Dolphins. But yeah, that's how I got into it originally, and it's interesting because it kind of was a gel and a community feel in music and sports. And the main thing that I relate to it is in the locker rooms and when you're with your team and the tight knit community that can be formed through music and who wants to play certain music at certain times. And that was really prevalent working out with my teammates too. The music always was there in the arena, outside of it. It was always there, and we always bonded over it too and shared it with one another. And it's so interesting how this all transpired, but that's exactly how it happened, I believe.
I dig that. So now, where's the platform now in current stage of development? Can artists interact with this platform? Is it still kind of like a closed situation? Where are we?
So we are currently in the process of doing beta testers. It will be live October, the first 2 weeks of October, so people can download it. It will be open on the Android store first, not necessarily iOS. We have to roll both of them out, but that leaves out like everybody, right?
It's a good way to start small and work you don't want that user base to grow too fast.
No, but it's really great to see the impact that we've been able to have and help people. We've helped a lot of people who are young in their careers, also people who are established, and other people who are music entrepreneurs, like I believe you are, Ryan, and they like with record labels and everything like that. So.
Wow. Bless you. Love what you're doing here. You can find out more about our guest's work by visiting www.marinationmusic.com. I can't believe with your launch so close to happening that you found the time to talk to us, but we very much appreciate it. And love what you're doing to promote financial literacy in creators and create cool tech platforms for them. Before we let you go, Justin, one last question for you. Do you have any last tips for the indie creators out there to help them move their careers forward?
I'm not going to lie. I did some research. I was preparing for this question, so
I had Our reputation precedes us.
I saw the episode. I'll get to the question, but I saw the episode where somebody cut in. They were about to, forget to ask the question at the end of the show, and I was laughing so hard to that.
Yeah,
but
that's what
yes,
I did.
I'll answer the question. So I would say to any indie artist who wants to be successful in their life and their career is to keep going. I believe that action is extremely important because at the end of the day, the only way you find out if something's going to work is if you act on it. You can have all these preconceived notions, you can think all these different things and thoughts, but the only way you're going to find out if something's going to work and what you're going to like and enjoy is to take action. So that's what I would give.
I love it. And it's something we've talked about on this program a lot where musicians, and it actually gets back to a conversation I think you and I had, Elisa, last time you were on the show about how you just have to do, and you have to do a lot. And, it's easy to kind of get into paralysis by analysis and just be like, and just plan and plan and plan the next thing, the next creation, the next release. And then it never gets into the world, where perhaps the better approach is to keep making stuff, keep doing. And then once it's out there, you can iterate, you can fix, you can adjust, but if you don't get it out there, it's hard to ever get it out there. And perhaps I think a lot of indie creators need to kind of follow that mindset that a lot of entrepreneurs have, that move fast and break things mantra of just, get things out there, put creations into the world. That's right. Yeah.
Fail faster.
But as you've noted, Elisa, in the past, that's a hard thing for creators to get over, right? Because like,
Oh, fully. Like,
you don't
like
want to put
I
that
had
thing into the world until it's perfect.
Oh, I was having like a major depressive episode for the last like 48 hours. And I was like, I'm going to have a show. I'm going to create all these social clips I'm going to promote. And then I just, sometimes you just get hit with a big sad. And sometimes you're just like, why am I doing this? What's the point? I'm just a small speck of space dust on a giant rock hurtling through space. But you just got to do it. You have to find it in you to find the thing that you can't help yourself but do no matter what, and hopefully that is create, and just make a little something. Doesn't have to be perfect, just make a little something.
Love it. Absolutely right. Justin, it's been a pleasure. Please don't be a stranger. We'd love to have you on again real soon. Keep us posted as this awesome platform continues to find its place in the world.
Elisa, Ryan, thank you guys so much. It was a pleasure to speak with you, and a big fan of the show. Keep doing what you're doing, and giving great value and content to everybody around the world.
Love it. All the best. Oh, Justin Longo, everybody.
All right.
With this, we got about 3-4 minutes left before the radio people get mad that we went over time. I should mention our guest next week is going to be Charlie Davis. He's the CEO of music influencer platform Preffy, which is a pretty cool platform, Elisa. It's all about musicians being able to host like TikTok contests where you create challenges where whoever, you put my song in your video, and whoever gets the most likes wins a prize. And Preffy helps people set those contests up. So,
interesting.
I know you've been known to dabble in the clock app on occasion.
Oh my gosh, that blessed cursed clock app. It's cursed. It's cursed.
Maybe this platform, maybe you'll be all over this Preffy thing. Did you manage to catch or hear any of the clips about the Emmys on Sunday? I mean, nobody ever watches the award shows, but you just watch it through clips the next day, or you hear things on Twitter.
I had it. I was sort of like scrolling. I forget what. Oh, I was watching football.
Putting the Emmys opposite football, never a good idea.
And I think it was a really good Sunday night game too. So
was that the Ravens game? That was.
It might have been Ravens.
Oh yeah, that game was.
I mean,
incredible.
Yeah. Probably worth it. But like I've heard that by virtue of everything, Apple TV technically won big because of Ted Lasso. And it's all about streaming platforms now instead of traditional networks winning big on these bad boys.
Well, let's see. The best drama winner was a Netflix show, The Crown.
Mm-hmm.
The best comedy winner was Ted Lasso, a Apple TV outfit. And the best anthology series was The Queen's Gambit.
Netflix.
A Netflix. So,
yep.
Yeah, it's a streaming world now. And have you seen Ted Lasso, by the way? Like,
I've watched one episode. It's weird because I'm one of those people that like if you overhype something, sometimes it has like the opposite effect. And I just get completely turned off. So I've been holding back on Ted Lasso, but I feel like now that Succession is coming back, I need like a palate cleanser, so that might be it.
Those two things would pair well together, I think. Because, I've watched them both. I feel like, Ted Lasso is a good palate cleanser for anything. I feel like if you had to rewatch a series like The Wire again,
oh gosh,
or like American Horror Story, you need Ted Lasso to just like recalibrate your systems. Like, I understand, like Twitter is really overhyping it to like, this is the reason why I didn't get into Schitt's Creek for years.
Oh yeah.
Because everybody else, like, I was like that penguin meme of now I'm not doing it because everybody else was watching it. But like, I'm telling you, Ted Lasso is so damn heartwarming, Elisa. And like, let me tell you about Roy Kent and how much you need to make him part of your life because he's just magical. And and as a feminist scholar, Elisa, just the number of well-adjusted men on this program.
There's one clip that I saw on TikTok that I was like, well, maybe I need to watch this show. Hello, Mr. Kent.
Yes. Oh, you will love yourself some Roy Kent. Believe me, he's absolutely fabulous. He totally deserved the best supporting actor win that he got at the Emmys. And just it's so heartwarming. Watch it so we can talk about it.
Okay,
That's all
okay,
I ask.
Okay, all right.
Our
okay.
thanks to Justin Longo this week. My thanks to you, Elisa. This has been a pleasure as always. Thank you so much for joining me. And thank you all for viewing and watching Break the Business. We will see you next week.
Later.